there are two different kind of places or ways to build lead capture, data capture forms in Ontraport. So I thought I would just do a hopefully relatively quick deep dive into the various different form options in Ontraport, the various ways we can collect data from the web, and when and how to use the different options and what all those advanced settings are all about. To start with, there are two different kind of places or ways to build lead capture, data capture forms in Ontraport. The first way, and the way that I would use if you possibly can, would be to build your forms right in your Ontraport pages. So if we wanted to, this is a page that we used, I think, last week. And we have this form here that says, let us know what you think. And there's this button. And so this is the best place, I think, to build your forms. And the reason is this is our newest technology, and there's some cool stuff that you can do here that you can't do with the other form types that are built in Ontraport. And it's also just the easiest. So I'm going to just start a new form. One of the things to know is that in Ontraport pages, you can have many forms on the page, but each form needs to be contained in one block, and the block needs to have a submit button. So basically the submit button is going to submit all the fields that are in this particular block on the page. So if I wanted to create a new one, I would need to come down to a different block and create it here. So maybe I'll just, maybe I'll just make my own new block just for fun. So I'll just add a new block. And I'm just going to add a blank one for now. And so what you do here is you just grab your form fields, and you can get first name. And you can see we've got a white background, and this is a kind of a funny color here in this scenario. So what we'll do is we'll style it first. And the reason I like to style the very first field before I add all the fields is that once you've styled the field, when you then go to add new fields, it'll copy the style of the first field that you added, so you don't have to change the style in all the various fields one at a time. So I can go in here and notice that these colors are a little funny, green and yellow. That's because they're being driven by the page colors. The page colors up here. So I could actually just go color suggestions and pick a different palette, and you can see how it's going to change how these work. That looks kind of nice. Maybe I'll stick with that in this case. So I'll just do that, make this nice and simple for myself. Now, when I want to go and grab another form field and drop it on here, last name, I can also just copy this thing. It'll do the same thing, email. Okay. And then maybe I want to, I don't know, let's copy it again and get a phone number. I can just type in here, phone. Okay, drag it over here. Now, I'll want to make sure there's I guess that's kind of cool actually having it all connected. I could, of course, make a little space here by going into the settings, spacing, and give myself a little left and right padding on this guy. There we go. And now those are separated. Okay, now, in this case, you got to add a button. There's a few different buttons on here. There's this button, that's just a link to another page or something. But because it's a form, we need a submit button, a little bit different functionality. So there's our submit button. Of course, you can style these in any way you want. I'm not going to get into that right now, but you would just, click here and style this thing however you like. You guys know how to do this. You can get in here and edit the style and just really get into the details of how you might do that. It's kind of a neat little button. Go with that. Weird. No, that's just too weird for me right now. I'm going to go back to maybe this basic button right here. Maybe I'll just shrink it up a little bit. Oops. And slide it over. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Now, if we want to get into the form settings, that happens on the button. So if you notice, we've got this other form here. Click it, and there's form settings. That's going to be one set of form settings, and that's going to manage that particular form. And in here, you will have these form settings here to manage this situation. Now, I do want to point out, I'll do it later, actually. Let's just do this one thing at a time. So here's the form settings for this particular form. And we'll just run through these real quick so that we make sure that we understand what is happening. So the first thing is opt-in settings. You got three options here. The three main options: double opt-in required, double opt-in optional, and single opt-in. The default is single opt-in, which means people just fill out their form and they're opted into your list. Double opt-in required is the other common feature you'll see in email programs. And that just basically means we're not going to send them, you can avoid sending them email unless they click the confirmation email that will be sent. So they'll fill out the form and an email will go out to them that says, hey, click here to confirm your subscription. Of course, in Ontraport, there's a whole, you can design that email how you like. There's a default one, but you can make that email, totally custom. And that's in the administration settings, I believe, your double opt-in message templates. So that'll go out, and then they will, be confirmed. So yeah, here's the confirmation emails. This is the default one, but you can select whichever one you want. And then it says on submit, send visitors to the following page. Default confirmation page. Use this particular landing page, and you can send them to. So this is like after they click submit on the form, what's the next page they're gonna see? Where are you gonna drop them? So the default is the one that says, it's got our Ontraport, kind of branding or whatever, but it says, thanks for signing up. We'll be in touch. Then you've got your custom landing page, or if it's not an Ontraport page, you can, send them to your own custom URL, whatever you might want. Now, you have this option here also that you can send contacts who are already opted in, people who are already on your list, to a different confirmation page. That's kind of useful sometimes. So for example, if you don't want to say like, normally you would drop them on a page that says check your email, to go to the resource that I promised you. And the reason you do that is you don't want a bunch of people that are giving you bad email addresses to get your free resource, right? But if you already have them in the database, you can just send them directly to the free resource if you want. So this will send them somewhere else if they're already in your database. Now, hopefully that makes pretty good sense. Now, Ontraport has a unique other feature, which is this double opt-in optional. You won't see this in probably any other system out there. And it's kind of a hybrid between single opt-in, which is, sign up and we're going to add you to our stuff, and double opt-in required. And that is basically where we will send out the double opt-in email saying, hey, please confirm your subscription. But if they don't actually confirm, you're still going to email them. And so it'll act like they're a single opt-in contact. If they do opt in, then there will be double opt-in contacts, and you'll know that they're, they have engaged with you in a different way. We may send those emails with a different priority or from different servers. They may get a little bit better email delivery. Also, though, the problem with double opt-in programs, just clicking double opt-in required, is that a lot of people, sometimes 30% of your leads, will never go and opt in. And then you're, really costing yourself a big chunk of your leads by selecting double opt-in required. And that's the same for any, email service you use. Like if you go, I think, to MailChimp or something, it's all double opt-in required. I don't think you can do single opt-in. So this kind of splits the difference where you can get people to double opt-in. You can ask them to do it, but if they don't, you're still going to mail them anyway. So that's probably a good idea, or just single opt-in to keep it simple. Now, manage form fills. So this is basically what happens to your contacts who fill out this form. Now, you don't need to use this actually, because many times it makes the most sense in campaigns, if you're going to create a campaign, to just have the trigger at the top of the campaign be something like, contact filled out my form, right? Or contact is added to my database, or whatever it might be. And that's going to kind of pull them into the campaign when that action happens. This is a little bit different. This is where when this form is filled out, you're going to push them onto the campaign. And I'm going to just show you real quick. I'm going to just show you what happens here in the campaign itself when you add them to this form filled out situation. So we're going to go to contacts campaigns, and let's see. Let's just open one of these suckers. Just open this one. Maybe you're adding them to newsletter campaign or whatever. Now notice that every campaign has this default trigger that's here on, when you open actually, just to make this really obvious, I'm going to start a new campaign. So when you start a new campaign, it looks like this, right? And it says added to campaign. This is the default trigger. And this is where contacts start if you add them to the campaign, from this form fill out. They're going to get added. They got to get added somewhere. One of these, if you add a bunch of triggers, they got to get added to one of these triggers, and the manual addition to the campaign, when you subscribe them to this campaign, they're going to get added here. So you might send them, an email or whatever. Over here, you could do something like, Phil's, form. Contact submits a form, and you can say, well, which form is it? It's this form right here, and maybe you just do a filter, go to, and drop them over there. Either way, right? So that's weird. Why did you say that? Contact submits polar bear party form. Okay. Let's see. This is where they're going to get added if you add them here. Now, there is one advantage to adding them here via the campaigns, and that is that if you do select double opt-in required, then what's going to happen is they're going to kind of get added here, but they're going to wait until that contact does click the confirmation email before this actually triggers, and then they move down the path. If you fill this thing out, this is just gonna go. When they fill out this form, even if it is a double opt-in required form, because the form was filled out, right? And so they're going to move down the path. Here, though, they won't actually get added. Like, this thing won't be completed until the double opt-in email link that says, hey, click here to confirm. When they click that, then they're going to get added to this campaign, and boom, they'll go down the path. So just be aware that that's how that works. Now, what's next down the path here? Here we have a notification. This is just going to, send an email to wherever you want. That's just going to say, hey, somebody filled out this form. Here's what they put in the form. Their name, their email, whatever it is. Also here, if you want to subscribe, if this is a new contact, make the contact owner blah, right? So if you have a form where you want to make the contact owner, a particular person, then you can do that by selecting here. Pretty obvious. That would be used for sales reps or something like that. Now then, advanced settings. These are a little trickier. Let's just go through these one by one. Normally, you just don't check these. There's no reason to check these in most cases. However, there are real reasons for these suckers. So the first one is override email address merge with cookie data. Now, what does that mean? When somebody comes to your page and there's a form on it, and one of the fields is an email address field, and they submit that form, what Ontraport does is it looks to see if that email address is already in the database. And if it is in your database, then it's going to presume that it's the same contact, and it's going to merge the data, the rest of the data on that form, with the existing record. So for example, if you have first name and last name and email, submit button, and somebody types in, an email address, a first name and a last name and an email address, and clicks submit. If the email matches an existing record, well, it's going to then update the first name and last name fields with whatever they put in the form. So if I change my name, it's going to change the name in the contact record, because it's going to assume that because it's the same email address, we're merging those records together. Okay, that's the normal default behavior. That happens when this is unchecked. Okay, that's the normal default behaviors, that we merge based on email address, and any new data that comes in on the form is going to overwrite the existing data in your account if there's an email match. Now, there are some cases where you don't want to do that. In fact, you'd rather use the information in the kind of like the Ontraport tracking information to do the merge. The typical use case is where you're asking people to update their email address, right? If you say, hey, do you need to update your email address, and you send them to a page, click here, say you send out an email or whatever, a text message, click here to update your email address, and you send them to a page, and then they give you the new email address. Well, that's not going to merge with any existing record. Hopefully that makes sense, because it's a new email address, right? It's presumably not already in your database. And so instead of updating the email address, you're going to end up with a new contact record. And that's not what you want in this particular case. So the funny thing is that Ontraport knows who that person is, because they just clicked a link in your email. We cookie, each of your contacts when they click your email links with their contact ID. We know which contact they are as they click around your pages. That's how we update those contact records with their page visit history and stuff like that. So we know who they are. And so what this does is it basically says, instead of merging based on the email address that's on the form, I want you to merge based on the cookie data, the person that Ontraport thinks this is. And then you give them that same email form. They go there. We're like, we know who you are. Even if you give us a different email address, we're going to actually update the email address and everything else based on the cookie, based on who we think you are, based on our tracking. So that's what that there is for. Now, pass CGI variables to landing page. This is CGI variables. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the fields on the form. So these fields here, first name, last name, email, and office phone. It's going to send them, it's going to send them to the thank you page, whichever one you assigned here. But at the end of the URL, so say the thank you page is www.mythankyoupage.com. What it's going to do is it's going to add this at the end. It's going to say first name. It's going to use Ontraport's normal variables. I don't know what they are exactly. It's going to say Landon, and last name equals Ray, and email equals support@ontraport.com, and so on, right? So whatever the fields were on that form, office phone, it'll add office phone on there, and office phone, and office phone, I don't know again what these variables are, equals, 805-568-1424. And it's going to send them to this particular page. Then you have these are called the CGI variables. You have all these variables on that next page. You can then use those to merge that data down into the page or into the form using the hidden, using the hidden fields stuff down here that we talked about last week. So that's all it's going to do. It's going to take the values that they just input into the form, and it's going to pop them into the URL just like that, so that you can then use that data to merge that information in onto the next page. Just FYI, if you use one of these landing pages and that landing page is not a secure page, then you don't need to, well, you know what? I'm not going to skip that. You just click that and you can merge those suckers in. Now, lastly, the last advanced one here, redirect after immediate campaign and sequence steps run. Okay, this one's kind of tricky. It's, again, used in certain circumstances. One of those circumstances might, for example, be that you're using conditional blocks on the thank you page itself. And you want to show your visitors a different block based on maybe what they said on the forum, right? That would be cool. The thing about it is that our system is pretty fast, and it's going to, when they click submit, it's going to drop them pretty much instantly onto that thank you page. And that's going to likely happen before the rest of our system has time to submit that information to the database, get the data in the right place, and kind of like be there so that when the landing page checks to see, did they say this or did they say that, that data might not be there yet. So it may not, give you the results you want. So what this does is it allows you to kind of like pause on that redirect until after the immediate campaign and sequence steps run. So what I would do if I wanted to do this is I would say I wanted to say, maybe I want to show them, here's a good use case. Maybe I want to show them how to, whitelist my email, how to find my email and whitelist it, right? But the directions for that are different for Gmail and for Yahoo and for MSN, right? And so maybe I want to show a little block on the thank you page that shows them how to do it in their email provider. So here's what I would do. I would say, create a new campaign. What email provider? Save as draft. Okay, and then I would redirect immediate campaign. I would pause this until the immediate step. So it's not going to wait for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 6 days if you put a wait in there. But anything that fires immediately will run through fire before we drop this person onto the thank you page. It only takes a second or so. It depends actually. If you make a really crazy campaign, it could take longer, which is why this is optional, right? It could slow your thing down, but if a simple campaign happens quick, it'll take a second or so, and then you will drop them on the thank you page. So what I would then do, say this is the campaign I just built. Say this is, what did I just say? What email provider? Okay, so instead of sending an email, let's delete this item and everything below it. I would put a condition here, and I would say, field is this value, email contains Gmail, done. If yes, then I might add a tag. Change tags. Go ahead, there we go. Add, create a new tag, Gmail, done. Okay, and then I'm done. And then here I would do another one, condition. I would say field is this value, email contains Yahoo, done. And then again, I'd go here. I can actually just copy this and everything below it. And then change this to, did I do this right? Must not have. Add Gmail. I didn't do that right. What did I do wrong there? Gmail, save. There we go. And here we go, add Yahoo. Oops. That's probably what I did. You gotta click that first. Yahoo, save. Okay, good, done. All right, let's just end it there for fun. So now what's going to happen is that this contact is going to get subscribed right here. They're going to run down here. They're maybe going to get a tag. And then I can use those tags because I can be certain that those tags are going to get added before they land on the landing page. I can use those tags in my conditional block. Here, I can show you what I mean right now. Add a block. Add a block that says, let's see. Let's use a video block, something simple like maybe something like this. Yeah. I could say Gmail users whitelist instructions. Okay, so I put a little video about how to do this with Gmail, and then I go to the display settings and only show this block if field is this value, email contains, oh wait, actually no, tag. That's what we were doing here. Take this back, delete this whole thing. Tag, contact has tag, and we just search for it, Gmail, done. And there we go. This thing's only going to show to Gmail users, right? So awesome. That's how that is going to work. And then we do the same thing, make another block for Yahoo users and so on. So that's what that setting is for. Just slow our roll down a little bit so that those immediate campaign steps run before we drop them on the landing page. Oh wait, I want to show you one more thing. This is important. Boy, we could talk about forms for a long time. Notice that if I were to, for example, drop a credit card field on here, that adds a few more fields to my form, doesn't it? Credit card number, a bunch of stuff like that. Now when I click submit, you'll see that I have form settings down here, but also product and payment settings. These are important. A bunch of really important stuff here. This is how you add products. What is it we're selling? Add the product to this thing. Well, 42 cats is what we're selling for just $10. Bargain cat price. And we can ship them. Add a shipping method. I don't know how we ship. UPS, I guess, it's $10. And they can choose if we add, FedEx or whatever, tests, $123. They can choose their shipping method. Add our payment gateway. We can use, PayPal or Stripe or our dummy gateway. Tax options. If we want to charge tax here. So California tax is 5%. It's not though. It's 8.25 because why not, guys? This here is a button that shows conditions. If let's see, we don't have anything shipping on here, so we're not even going to know how to do tax rules. You could add their state, for example, and then you could add a tax option, California tax, but it would say charges tax only if state equals California. That's how that works. Which invoice do we want to send? Again, you can not send an invoice. You can send the default invoice. You can also create you can create new invoice templates in the administration settings, and then send invoices for every recurring payment. If for example, they're subscribing to 42 cats a month, then you could optionally send them their invoice every single month. That's what you find there in your product settings. And then when you set that all up, boy, when they click that button, it's going to go ahead and charge them. The other thing that you'll notice, let's see, is that we have a few more fields here. And that is, because we added e-commerce to this form. So there's these three more fields here in the advanced section. Send Google e-commerce tracking parameters to the landing thank you page. You might as well do that if you're using Google Analytics. You know how to set up Google e-commerce tracking. You want to learn more about e-commerce tracking, but it basically adds, how we added a bunch of stuff here to the top of the CGI variables. It just keeps going with that, and it adds a bunch of a bunch more variables up there for what they purchased and how much they purchased it for and stuff like that, so that you can end up with that data in your Google Analytics account. If this charge is successful, then use this card for all transactions and collections. So what that means is if you're wanting to create and update your credit card information, say somebody's they're on a subscription and you've charged the card, successful, and then all of a sudden you charge it in month 4 and it bounces. That transaction is going to go into collections. And when it does, your recharge settings are going to go into effect. So that's a whole other set of rules, which I can show you here. Oh, it's probably in here. There it is, sales settings, duh. Okay. Recharge settings. Whew. So what it's going to do if they bounce, it's going to be retry credit cards every 3 days, keep trying for 90 days, stuff like that. But along the way, you might say, hey, you guys need to update your, maybe the credit card is just canceled or whatever. You can send them a thing that says, hey, do you need to update your credit card? And you can create a form, and then when they fill out that form, if it's successful, then it says use this card for all transactions and collections. So it'll immediately test that card, and then if it works, it's going to ding your the rest of your transactions that are in collections with this new card. And one more option, you can also check if it's successful, also update all open orders with this card. So not just the transactions that are in collections, but update the open order so that next month it uses this card as well instead of continuing to use the old card. So those are options. And I think that probably does it for form settings in Ontrapages. Now, there's more. There is more. I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, this is all really cool if you want to have your form just plopped on your page like this. But some people like to have forms that are that pop up, when they click a button, or that pop up when somebody tries to leave the page when they're about to like close the tab, or just pop up after a few seconds on the page. A little pop up that says, "Hey, wait, you haven't subscribed to our newsletter list," or something like that. So in order to do that in Ontrapages, you go to the settings tab here, and there's three different options here. So one of them is pop a lightbox. Those are called lightboxes, those things that pop up over your page. Pop a lightbox on user scroll, so as they scroll down, or pop a lightbox after some time on the page, so after 20 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever you want, or on exit intent. So, as they scroll off the screen and go to click their X, you can pop a lightbox that says, "Hey, wait, I've got a special offer for you." And so when you click on these, you can turn this thing on or off, enable when a user scrolls, yes. You select a form. Now these forms, we're going to get to in a minute, but these are the ones that you find here under contacts forms. You're going to find these contacts forms. We're going to go to those in a minute, but you'll see all of your forms listed there. The ones that you build here under contacts forms will show up as options here, because this thing here, contacts forms, is where you build your kind of like your light boxes and stuff like that. So you can select one of these, and then this is all the settings about where this form shows up and how often it shows up and stuff like that. So where this is in the center of the page, on the right of the page, bottom left, bottom right, stuff like that. This is kind of cool because you can, if you put this on the bottom and the middle, and then you made a form that is all the way across the page, which you can do. In fact, let's just do that. This wouldn't be on user scroll. This would be after time on a page. So we're going to do this. We're going to make that thing pop up at the bottom here, display after 1 second. If it's been closed or filled out, don't show to the visitor again. Display this pop-up once during a 1 hour time frame. Display this a maximum of 2 times ever. Okay, so we're going to say create new Ontraform, and this is going to be a cookie accept cookie agreement. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to make a little accept cookie agreement. The little bar, that says, "Hey, we have cookies." Click here to say yes. Okay, so that's going to pop up when I put those settings on that form, and it's going to pop up after 1 second after they're on the page, and they're going to have to click a button or whatever. So new page. This is now what happens if we go to forms, create a new form. We get right to this place, Ontraforms. We're going to go to Ontraforms. Okay, this is what we just did, and then I said start from scratch. So that's how we got here, and it's the accept cookie agreement. So this is version 2 of our kind of pages editor. It's the older version, and this will be updated sometime in 2019 to use the new kind of drag and drop model. But in the meantime, we have these blocks for you, and it just works a little bit differently. The blocks are pre-made, and you click on edit, and then you kind of like click on here, close this box to accept cookies. We use cookies on this site. Close this box to accept. All right, fine. Feels a little big to me. Maybe we'll make it like that. Save. You could put a little link on. That's large body text. If you want to do, learn more, then you can link that to your legal page. http://ontraport.com/legal. Talks about our cookies, and there we go. And then let's see what else. Anything else we want to do on this thing? Save that. Content width. We go 100%. So full width on this. We want to not have. That looks good. So this is the form builder. Save. Okay, we just saved this. Now the system is taking us back to the page that we had before. Let's make sure that this is here. Oh, missing form submit. Oh, see, this is going to be. This is going to take a minute because I got to set up this form. So let's see. I'm just going to start here again, and make sure that we got that Lightbox. Oops, URL variance test. Make sure that we have that Lightbox added to the form here, or added to the page rather. So time on page, enable the Lightbox. And we call it the accept cookie agreement. Pop it on the bottom, display after 1 second. And then if it's been closed, don't show it again. Done. And we can, let's see, is there a preview button on here? No, time on page. Yeah. Okay, so we can preview this, see what it looks like. And after a second or so, this little guy pops up and you can close it and boom, they've accepted your cookies. So that is how to get a Lightbox onto your page that pops up this way. Now there's another option. Say you wanted to have this button here linked to a Lightbox. Well, you can do that too. Watch, you just click on the button, go to settings, edit the button link, and you click on this and it's going to open up this thing. You can link to a page, you can link to a particular landing page, this is a custom URL, a landing page, link to a block on this page so it scrolls down, or you can link to an Ontraform Lightbox. This could be the accept cookie agreement if that's what you want to do, or it could be a sign up form or whatever you might want to pop up when they click this sucker. So if I preview this now and I click on this form, yeah. Oh, that form might not exist. So this is in my demo account, but if you had this form working in your account, that would pop up when you clicked on that link on the page there. So that is how that works. Now, back to Ontraport forms. If you go back here, just back to context forms, there's only a few times when you really need to create a form here. It's when you want to create a Lightbox for use on your Ontraport pages, whether it's from a link or whether it's based on scroll or whatever. And then the other time that you use an Ontraport form instead of a page is when you want to post this form on another website, a website that is not an Ontraport page. And the way that you do that is you click on the publish settings. You're gonna name it first. Okay, this is an order form, so I gotta add some stuff. It's not gonna let me publish this thing without finishing. I can add a couple gateways on there. See what else I need to do. Missing a product. So I got to go back to payment settings, add my 42 cats, be done there. And now am I there? Yeah, okay, good. So here we go. order forms will not display. Notice this, order forms will not display. If you put them on another form, another website rather, it will not display on a page that doesn't have HTTPS. If you use Ontraport Pages, we take care of all that for you. We give you a free SSL certificate. So that's a good reason to use Ontraport Pages. But if you're going to put this on your WordPress site or whatever it might be, you got to make sure if it's an order form, it's going to be on a secure page. Now, there's 3 different ways to publish this thing. An automatic lightbox, which is kind of the way that we, what we were talking about before, time on page, scroll down the page, pop up on exit intent. You can click, one or many of these. Tell me where you want it to pop up, in the center, upper left, whatever. And then, don't show it if it's already been closed. And notice that as we do this stuff, the code here is changing. So then when you're all done, you copy the code to your clipboard and you go plop that onto the page that you want to put this thing on. Again, you don't have to use this publish button at all if you are going to try and put this on your Ontraport page. Instead, you just go to the page and select the form that you've built here, and it'll work just fine. The only reason to use this publish button is when you want to take this form and put it on a page that's not an Ontraport landing page, your own website or something like that. So automatic lightbox, this is how you embed the form in your page. So you put that right in the code and it'll show up in line with the rest of your content. And then lastly, this is the code you need if you want to kind of attach this form to a button on your page, and your developers will help you do that. You can kind of figure it out if you're fancy, but these are for people that are dealing with the code on their own pages. So I think that is all the settings that you need to worry about for Ontraport pages. There are some other sort of settings that you can turn on in advanced mode, but in advanced mode, if you're dealing with those things, you can worry about those things then. So hopefully that will do it. That is a lot about forms, 45 minutes straight on Ontraport forms. We've covered, how to build forms in your Ontraport pages, how to deal with order forms, how to put a lightbox on your page, whether it is an automatic lightbox that comes up on scroll or, on time on page, or if they try to exit. We've shown you how to pop a lightbox on your Ontraport page if they click a button. And then also in Ontraport forms, how to grab the code from forms and put it on your own page that's not an Ontraport page. So if you have a WordPress site or a Wix site or whatever you want to do, you would come here to the forms and then build it and then grab the code, and you can publish that on your own site. So a lot of very flexible functionality here. But okay, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you next time.